Hello, everyone. I am Julianne Meyer. You are watching Seizing Your Greatness, and you may notice we have a slightly different background, but we have the same guest that we had last week, Angèle Lamothe. And I am so excited because I was so enthralled by our first conversation that I needed to bring her back. And I just figured this is like the perfect timing because I'm in a new space and she is the queen of resilience. And I just want to bring her on and get our conversation going and not talk about anything except for what we're going to talk about. So, Angèle, welcome back. I'm so excited to have you here today.
Thank you, Julianne. I am so grateful to be back here and to go deeper into subjects and wherever it leads us today.
Exactly. I always have an intention of what I think we're going to talk about. And then sometimes, most often, always, it sort of veers off slightly from what I've planned. But as you know, I just recently had a huge change in my life, moved 1,200 miles, and kind of changed everything about my day to day life. And I wanted to bring you back before this even happened. But I thought timing is everything, and everything happens for a reason. And resilience is like one of my most favorite things to talk about because I think we're all resilient, whether we realize it or not. And, you have had a lot of challenges. You've been through a lot of different things that require extra from you as a person. I mean, just being an athlete, I'm curious when you hear that word resilience, what comes to mind?
Ooh, what comes to mind when with resilience is you touched on it a little bit. We are all resilient. We are all powerful. We all have that within us. However, what distinguishes a person who takes advantage of the resilience, takes advantage of a situation, turns it into a learning opportunity, turns it into a space where you're exactly where you need to be at that moment, and understand that deeply in every fiber of your body that yes, this might be really difficult in this moment, but everyone goes through difficult moments, and it's how we choose to see it. So you can be a victim and say, oh my goodness, why is this happening to me? And I'm not saying I've never had those thoughts, but then shifting quickly into, wait a second here, I'm in charge of my life and I know that this is happening because I can handle it, because I'm strong, because I'm resilient, and I get to teach everyone else in my life and everyone else around who is going through difficult moments that they're not alone, and it's what you make of it. And you grow so much from resilience and from those difficult moments that again everyone experiences, but it's what you choose to see from them, it's what you choose to get from it, and it's how you really truly view the world through that lens. And so resilience really means power to me. It really means a stepping stone to the next best version of yourself, because it really prepares you for periods in life and things in life that uh, will really, really support you in your next journey. And in retrospect, you're always exactly where you need to be, and you grow so much from resilience if you choose to see it from a powerful. So yes, to answer your question very briefly, resilience equals superpower.
Ooh, I like that so much. I think too that something that's kind of fascinating, and I'm obviously speaking from my own current experience. This is something that I chose for myself. It's something that I wanted for myself, and yet I'm still going through all of the ups and downs of change, and like that those feelings of, oh my gosh, why am I here? What am I doing? Why did I make this change in my life? 1,200 miles, what, all these things. And I think too that for a lot of people, uh, I don't know that we honor those ups and downs because we think we're not allowed to have them because we chose it. What do
Mm,
you think about something? What could you speak more into that, please?
I love that. The choosing versus being, I'll say, being thrown into a circumstance where you don't have control, we'll say. So I'll touch on control and false control. So you're right in that, yeah, you chose this experience, you chose to move, you chose all of this. However, along the way, we don't necessarily choose the people we run into, the circumstances that we are faced with. And I love that, yeah, you are human and you do have all those emotions. And even if it is chosen, there are some very hard moments that can surface, and you are allowed to be in that emotion. You do get to give yourself grace and really learn from that experience. And I guess where it gets a little confusing when there's controlled changes and uncontrolled. For example, my son, who was in hospital, my TEDx talk around gratitude and resilience, and those long, long years in hospital. Yes, of course, I didn't choose that for myself. I didn't choose that for my family. However, the resilience and the lessons and the growth are just as exponential as a chosen moment, because I'm choosing it, because you're choosing it. And so yeah, it's difficult. It can be difficult and beautiful, and a stepping stone to your next best thing and the next best version of yourself when you choose that for yourself, and when you view the value in the resilience, in change, and whether it's chosen, uncontrolled. There's always elements that we can't control in our lives everywhere, no matter how controlled we think we are, and how we're choosing to move, we're choosing this career, we're choosing this relationship, etc. Yeah, there are definitely some uncontrolled moments where, if we try to control everything, that's where all of our energy goes and leads, and deters us, I guess, from the real picture of growth and resilience. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, there's something that keeps popping into my brain that I love that you mentioned. It's almost like the first of all, the word control. It's an illusion. It's like we think we have control. We can make our choices. Obviously, we have control over our choices, but I just love this idea of thinking like, if we make this choice and we'll have this outcome. Not necessarily. If we make this choice, then this will happen. Yeah, no, that doesn't mean that's going to happen. And I love the idea of you bringing up this. It's like a false sense. It's a false sense of control. It really is, because all we are making are choices. That's it. It's a choice that, the next best choice for ourselves, hopefully. Uh, but oh my goodness. Oh, I love that so much. I'm curious too, as an athlete, I want to bring that up too, because, when you are training, for example, for a race, there are these moments in time, or people who are trying to lose an exponential amount of weight or anything along, those lines. There always comes a moment where your brain goes, I don't want to do this. I don't think I can do this anymore. I want to give up. And that's when I think resilience comes in too. And I'm curious how you can walk yourself through those thoughts and feelings and keep going.
Yes. So there's a few exercises that I do for myself religiously, but also focus on with my clients. And the thing that I tell them the most, the first thing is to being aligned with your vision. So whether it's losing weight, whether it's crossing that finish line, whether it's finishing your book, writing that TEDx talk, whatever, having that difficult conversation with your parents. It doesn't have to be anything.
Mm-hmm.
You get you really get to connect with that vision. And so what is that vision? And so to come back to the race, of course, it's crossing that finish line, it's getting that medal, but it's mostly knowing that I've done it, I can do it. And so, yes, we're human. We have those days where I love running, and some days I don't want to run. And so I remind myself. So it's that connection piece. So there's the mindset, and then there's the emotional, but then there's a visualization of, okay, what's the bigger picture? Why am I doing this? And it's little bite-sized steps. Because so for my race, for example, when I don't feel like running one day because I'm tired, I think of, okay, I'm thinking about this in the moment. I'm human. I'll give myself grace. And I remember how amazing I feel when I'm done. And I connect it to my bigger picture. So this week I have this many kilometers. And then that connects me to my bigger vision of my race coming up. And so, really, anything in life, whether, like I mentioned some examples just a few moments ago, whatever it is, it's connecting yourself to that bigger vision and knowing that Yeah, bite-sized steps, but also giving yourself grace and knowing that, yeah, you're human, and if you mess up, if I choose to not um, run that day, I get to pay the price, but then the next day start over and not
Yeah.
live in. So a lot of us will live in guilt and I'm not good enough. And then it turns into a whole self talk. And so understanding that, okay, today's a new day, today's a new moment. I am human and I made, yeah, maybe not the best choice yesterday, but new moment, new opportunity. Let's go. My bigger vision connecting that. And so your why, I guess, is what I'm getting at, no matter what that is for you. Small,
Exactly. Yeah, it's true because there's times when I have a blood disorder, so I have to be um, a little more diligent about what I eat because there's certain things like I'm not allowed meat or sugar or processed sugar, I should say. I can eat fruit, but I still have to be careful about all these different things just to keep my blood in the optimal working order, I guess, for lack of better terminology. But there's times like yesterday, I had an ice cream sandwich and I had no business eating an ice cream sandwich, not because, I mean, it's just because of the sugar. But the point is I could have easily shamed myself and been like, I might as well eat another one, or I might as well eat this. I might as well, or been like, that was delicious. And now I get to choose better.
so you bring a very good point of contrast. And so that is really the contrast in everything. So from resilience to choices to bigger goals, smaller goals, bigger picture, um, that contrast can realign and motivate us in a different direction. And it can also show us what we want to work on, and what we don't want in our lives. And so it's not from a shame. And I love that you just gave yourself that grace and today chose better. And knowing that, yeah, you're human. Those sandwiches look incredible and they're tasty. And I'm not having one every day. So
Exactly.
whether it's the ice cream sandwich, a conversation that something you said that you regretted, yeah, it's recognizing that you can apologize. Every moment's a new moment, and you can do better again. And what did you learn from that? And you can be grateful for that lesson. And this is where the energy and the magic happens, because those higher frequencies of gratitude and being present and in loving yourself, loving others around, it really brings you to the next level in life and in your energy field. And then you attract people, experiences. And so, even in those bad choices, I'll say bad choices, which there's always a lesson and some gratitude, something to be grateful for the contrast, like I
Mhm.
just spoken to. So,
I love that. I love the idea too of contrast and and then your acknowledgement bad choices. It's just so people understand it's not really labeling it. Yeah, it's a choice, that's what it is. We're the
yeah,
ones that decide what the meaning behind it. And there's a reason why we chose it then. And I love the idea of us um kind of showing ourselves some grace and saying, okay, maybe that wasn't the best choice, but at the moment, I did the best I could. I
yeah.
love that. So, you talked a little bit about being a coach and clients that you work with, and I'd love for you to talk a little bit more about that. I know that in the last episode, so for those of you who didn't catch it, you can watch it on demand and learn a little bit more about Angèle. But I would like to talk a little bit more about what it's like to work with you because you're such an amazing soul, and you're the first person I brought back that I'm really excited to have back too. And just like instantly go get on my calendar right away. So I'm a walking Yelp review for who you are, that I would love for people to know what it's like to work with you.
Thank you, Julianne. Again, I'm so grateful to be here and glad to be back. So we have, I guess I'll break it down in energetic fields. And I think I touched upon that a little bit last time, but I'll go deeper into what that means. And so we are emotional beings. We have emotions. We have experiences. We have paradigms. We were raised by families. We've had experiences. good ones, bad ones, are all good experiences. They're exactly where we need to be at all times in our learning experience through life on our journey. And I quote bad, but they can be beautiful when we choose it. So yes, we have the emotional body. So I walk through what are the emotions that are triggered, what paradigms, what so all the most common themes, I guess, are often relationships and worthiness. And so, whether that's worthiness with money, worthiness of a partnership, worthiness of the job of your dreams, whatever that looks like for you, I have everything going for me, but there's usually one category that's not as like a 10 on 10 everywhere in life: relationships, work, health, love, resources, abundance, and joy, and joyful experiences, and humans and environments that you choose to engage in. So typically, one we all have one category that, yeah, okay, we get to work on that. So the emotional piece that we work through is really going through those paradigms and those emotions and really getting to, okay, why do I feel a certain way? And really getting down to the bottom of any interaction that we have, any person that comes in our field. When we're triggered, it really has nothing to do with the other person, whether we're angry, whatever emotion comes up. And so recognizing that we are in total control of our emotions. No one else has control. So it's really taking control back of our emotions. If I want to use the word control, but in a loving, towards ourselves, graceful, and also in an open, harmonious way with everyone we interact with, but mostly with ourselves. So walking through that emotional, so really going through deep, some trauma, some experiences, and then we get into the physical body, of course, and so taking care of ourselves. I'm not a health coach, but do we need require a certain amount of sleep, as you know, nutrition, water, all of that. I'm not going to go into deep into that, but the next piece I'm going into is really the magic that we all have a gift, and this is my gift that I offer people. And so energetically, where we are also energetic bodies. So I talked about the different bodies earlier. Our energy fields, we are energy, the universe speaks energy, the people that come to us. And so how do we foster that? How do we um, build and use that extra reserve to create exactly the 10 on 10 everywhere in our lives? And
Mhm.
so, yes, there's meditation. Yes, there's different ways to go within. And so, creating that space, that buffer where you can tap into your intuition, listen to the whispers of your soul, listen to the universe, listen to the people that come into your life. There's never any accidents, and
Mhm.
there's always a reason, synchronous moments in every single moment, whether we choose to see it or not. And the also living in joy and in gratitude and in those higher frequency energies. Whether
Mhm.
and people tell me, well, I hate my boss. How can I be grateful for my boss? I hate my job. I hate, he's this way, this way, this way. And then we work through, how do we discern? How do we talked about, the contrast. And so focusing on what you do want, so that visualization piece, but living in those higher frequency moments in every moment. And so going, okay, I might not be enjoying my boss at the moment, and then finding the gratitude at work. So my colleagues are amazing. I work out with them at lunch. I have a job. I have a car. I drive for 30 minutes. I can listen to a podcast that I love. And so anything that brings you back to that moment of so feeling and truly joyful, something that brings you joy, any little activity. And so walking through and then slowly shifting out of that job that you don't like. And it's taking your power back, coming back to source, coming back to who you truly are as a powerful human,
Mhm.
knowing exactly what you need and require at all times. When we clean up all of that, I'll
Stuff.
say all of that That and seeing the beauty in that and learning and really changing from that. So that
You
was
know, yeah, no, I love that, and I think too, it's kind of interesting going back to universal laws, what we focus on expands, and so, you know, I haven't told the story in a really long time, but I used to live in Italy, and, I was taking an art class, and it was, landscape. So we would go to this one spot every single week for I think it was like 2 hours. So I'm on like week 3 or 4. So let's say I've had a minimum of 6 hours sitting in this exact same spot for 2 hours at a time. Staring at the same thing. All of a sudden, I noticed a building that was there. It had been there the entire time. I had been staring directly at the same spot for hours upon hours and never saw it. It wasn't like it just suddenly appeared. It had been there the entire time. And that was such a visual and just really was like, wow, what else do I miss? What else is right in front of me that I do not see? And so if you're looking for the building, you can find the building.
absolutely. I love that story, and that is so true. What you focus on grows, and it also reminds me your story is at times it was we there are things that we notice and that we get to focus on, and then at other times when we're ready, when it's timing, we're like, wow, there's a huge building here. But that's true for anything else, and it's always exactly aligned along your path the way that it's meant to be. And to come back to energy, where I coach my clients into, and this is really the key, like the last key piece, is we that false control that we all like we think that we're in control, and there are so many elements that we cannot control, and so releasing that and surrendering and surrendering doesn't mean let go. Surrendering doesn't mean I'm just going to forget about everything. No, surrendering is being really intentional with your vision and what you're working on, and being integrous and honest with yourself, and understanding that the universe, God, whatever your inner guidance system, your intuition, if you want to call that, whatever resonates with you, is guiding you exactly where you need to be at all times. So we don't need to worry about all those details. And that's where the other piece of the energy comes in, because we don't have to make up. And how often, and maybe this has happened to you, maybe not, we spend so much energy and focus trying to figure things out. And like, let's say we're working on a big project. I've been a victim to that, to my circumstances, where I work so hard, and I do things, and then it guides me in a total different direction. And then on my next project, when I take the time, because I take the time to tune in, slow down, that's when the answers come. And it takes half the time, not even. So time is not linear, but it takes so much less effort to complete the same project or the same elements of a project and so recognizing that our guidance system, our intuition, God, source, whatever resonates with you, really, truly has our back and is always perfectly aligned. And when we follow that guidance system, we save so much and conserve, preserve, save so much energy for all of the other things that we want to work on.
Oh, I love that so much, and it's so true. It's like when we allow when we allow things and they can come through. It's instead of like the grind mentality, which I've never been a fan of. I'm not saying don't work hard. I'm just saying,
Works.
yeah, work smart. We are almost out of time, and I'm curious if there's any last nuggets of wisdom you'd love to leave with the audience.
Thank you, Julianne. Yes. I just finished writing part of my book, and the part was your energetic bank, your bank account. And so we can obviously resonate with money, with bank accounts. And so what if our energy fields, our reserve was like a bank account? And so is it full? Is it loving? Is it abundant? Are we focusing on ourselves, the people that we choose to engage with, the activities that we choose to do? Does it really fill us? Does it fill our bank account with joy and those really values and experiences and feelings and that resonate with what we want to create. And so being really true with ourselves. And when you do meet up a friend, are you drained afterwards? Does it bring you energy? Really being intentional. And it doesn't mean that you're not grateful for that friend, but really taking a, writing down what really brings you joy and energy and what fills that bank account. And that exercise is really powerful. And people are like, oh, I've done that. But when you actually sit down and go deep, it's incredible how much energy leak or money that we're wasting, energetic money that we're wasting. I'll say wasting, used towards our bigger picture, our bigger goal, a harmonious, loving universe that we are all seeking. And so I guess being intentional with what we are creating everywhere, but how we're feeling and filling ourselves first, filling that energy bank.
I love that. I love that. Well, Angèle, thank you so much for being here today. I truly love our conversations, and I'm glad that the audience had a chance to kind of peep in and listen to us. So thank you so much for being here again, because I truly enjoy you as a human, and what you bring to the world is so important. So thank you.
A pleasure, Julianne. And yeah, the pleasure is mine. And as always, I could talk for hours. And so it's a pleasure to be here and share this wisdom. Beautiful.
Amazing. Well, everyone, that is all the time that we have this week. So thank you so much for joining us. We will see you again next Thursday. Until then, fill your energetic bank. Bye for now, everyone.